Okay, hello there. Today we're going to be talking about 2015's The Vitch, or Witch if you're not special, by Robert Eggers, I think it's called. The Vitch.
The Vitch.
The Vitch. I really like the fact that it's called The Vitch just because, as you had said yesterday, uh, W didn't exist in the 16 or 1700s, so they just put two V's, which I think
Right.
which is super funny. Anyway, moving on. Where did this go? So yeah, just quick spoiler warning before we get into this, and yeah, the time will be on.
Warning.
Warning now, no turning back. There'll be a time on screen where you just want to see the end point. Yeah. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, you want to break down the basic story of The Witch?
I do. I want to break it down.
Break down
Um,
spaghetti.
so, colonizing family um, gets upset with their city or their village and how the church is being ran, and they're like, "No, bro, I'm gonna go and do my own thing
I'd be a
because
dippin'.
I be a dipping because I don't agree with how the church be a running, like most common churches." So homie goes and homesteads out on his own with his family, and some bad things start happening around there. And their child gets abducted, which is a baby, which is very disturbing. And then a bunch of chaos and malarkey starts to descend upon the family, and they have a bad time.
They start hunger gaming
Hunger
themselves.
True.
Not intentionally, but it sort of goes that way. Yeah,
They
this
start destroying themselves from within.
I really like the story. Like we'll get into it more as the video goes on, but the story I actually really liked it, and the way that it was executed was excellent. Um, yeah, the first part when the baby gets kidnapped, I was I was really not expecting for the baby to be turned into guacamole. Um,
Yeah, they went hard in the first like 15 minutes.
I was like, oh no, baby gets squish.
Also gets like aggressively touched inappropriately.
That too. Well, it's,
I
it's
was like, oh,
you know
okay.
it's probably because that witch never had child. It was like,
I
child.
think the witch knew what the witch was doing.
Oh, it probably did. I just
They're going for that thick penal blood.
penal. Oh no. um. So, one of the things that really helps the film move, like, and enforce itself, is its sound design. Like, it is super spook. The entire thing, like, just like it helps build tension so well with the sound and the forest sounds and the spookiness and all sorts. It just is really good. And like, yeah, the
The
music,
twins singing.
dude. Oh my god, the
They're horrible.
the twins are dementic, like just horrible. Well, it's horrible people. I hate the twins.
The
Um,
twins are awful.
and yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot of. I'm kind of already forgetting, but I don't really think there was a whole lot of like straight up like orchestral music or anything in the film.
No, not for real, really. There's maybe like a scene or two, like at the end when she's descending into madness.
Yeah, like the witches obviously do their little coven dance thingy
They go, ooh, spooky witch.
at the end, which is pretty odd. The whole setup is awesome, but yeah,
Yeah, the end is great.
yeah, that part's just freaking awesome. And another thing that I want you to start to open up about is the characters, like, and specifically the actors. Like the father. Go ahead and just talk about the dad a little
Oh,
bit.
word. The dad is one of my favorite male figured father figure characters that I think I've seen in probably the last like 20 movies I've watched. And his voice is awesome. Really enjoyed was listening to him speak. I was like, this man, I would if he started a cult, I would probably follow it. He just has that like gravelly, thick, old English accent thing going on, which all the characters are keeping to the time, I guess. And then he's just trying to hold his family together, as you can see him losing his actual like resolve, his own resolve, and he has like these internal struggles with himself. And then I really also liked his oldest daughter. She was my second favorite character.
How did you
Uh,
that was a thing I had throughout the film. Is I kept on thinking it was because we had the subtitles on, and
Mhm.
how did you say her name? It was like,
Uh, it's like Jameson.
and it just threw me off because I kept on thinking it was Tomlinson, and that's like more of a male name, and I'm like, oh, nope,
Oh, that's it. That's it. Hold on, I
and
gotta look it up. I forget what her name was.
yeah, and that just threw me off a little bit near the beginning of the film. I'm like, oh wow, that's a different. And let's see, I'm pulling up the page. I completely forgot about this while I was watching it. Tomlinson, Thomasin, Tomlinson, but I don't think they said it like.
Allison.
Um,
So I feel like it was because it's just an offshoot of Thomas.
which
Like
is
the it's the female Thomas.
yeah, I get that. It's such an unusual name now. Like I've never heard that name in like real life. Someone be called
True.
that. But yeah, that was actually speaking of that character and that actress, awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
she's great.
I know we had discussed a little bit before about how I just didn't really think her acting was all that great. But after thinking about it more, I definitely think I would agree with you that the lack of emotion she has in a lot of the scenes is deliberate because yeah, as we were talking about, like there's a lot more emotion at the end with her because she's sort of been, I don't want to say set free. Set free is really not the right term because she has not.
Beaten down.
Yeah, beaten down, and then given a new experience. um, is maybe
Yeah, give it a new experience. Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
that's it.
like I don't know what else to call it. Like, because being set free, selling your soul to Satan is not being set free, but it's like not around her parents and her two nagging
It's
twin
like
brother
she
and sisters.
became the evil that they impressed upon her.
Oh yeah, like 1000%. I feel like that is, if there's any moral in the story, is don't create the thing you don't like or whatever. Like, or your actions of trying to stop something are going to create the thing you don't want. Um,
Yeah, the thing you should be most afraid of is yourself,
yeah, that
because
was.
it's like the witch kind of attacks each one of them in a personal way.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this before. Like you had mentioned this, so I think you could talk about it a little bit more. But each one of the people throughout the films gets attacked in a way specific to them.
Yeah, like so the boy, well, minus the baby. The baby doesn't, but the baby is just the initial like, "Ha, I got you." But
The baby,
the
the baby is the appetizer.
true baby's like wedding the yeah okay. I'm not gonna go there. So there's another boy child that's like the older boy, not the twins. He has like lustful looks at his sister throughout the movie, and they make it visually apparent. And he kind of struggles with it because they have like this thick or this hard Christian moral system. So he's like, "Oh, I don't want to, I shouldn't be like this," but he is. And the way the witch ends up attacking him is using a seductive woman to lure him into the hovel that she lives in. The father, there's a scene where the oldest daughter, what's her name? Tomlinson.
Mhm.
They're having an argument because she's being accused of being a witch, but she makes a comment about how he's no good at anything except for cutting wood. And the goat ends up goring him, and he gets buried under a pile of wood, which is pretty ironic. And then the mother has this upset. Well, it's not an obsession. It's like a desire for more amenities than she has, and she had this goblet or cup thing that she really liked, and it was sold for the family to get food. So there's a scene where she's being, I'm assuming, mentally attacked because it's like fake imagery, where the cup is back in her room, and her children who have died, namely the baby and the older son, were there, and she starts to nurse it. Excuse me, nurse the baby, and it's just this crow or this raven and eating her breast. It was pretty disturbing.
Yeah, I that whole scene with the mother, I actually really liked that. That whole scene was awesome.
Yeah, you like
Well,
women's nipples bleeding.
not that particularly, but like the way they the way they introduced because you didn't know right away that she was in a dream, like a dream sequence, and then
True.
if you just paid attention, then you noticed, oh, there's this civil, because they didn't really focus on it. Like, I guess they kind of put it in the shot, but they didn't really focus on the silver cup in the background, and then
Yeah.
then they transition over to the two kids that were dead, and you're like, okay, something's going down. Uh,
Something fishy is afoot. I had a question about a couple of the scenes with the main girl, the Thomason. You know, when she goes and collects eggs, it's fairly early on after the baby is abducted. I think the baby was already abducted at this point, but one of the eggs had like an embryo that was partially like destroyed inside the egg.
mm-hmm.
And then she had the scene where she's milking the goat and it's blood. Could that not be? Could the argument not be made that she's already kind of descending into some kind of witchedness?
Witchedness. Yeah, I think you could definitely make that argument, but and I think that's perfectly reasonable. I was just curious. I was thinking about it in the way that they shouldn't. When I was watching the film, the first thing that came to my head was, oh, they shouldn't be there. Like it's kind of like cursed land or whatever.
Hmm.
Because the egg thing happened super early
It
on.
was
It's like
very early.
it
Yeah.
was like right after the baby was taken. So I don't.
So is it cursed because the witches are there, or is it because it doesn't seem there's no reason to think that it's like a Native American thing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just because they don't back it up with anything else. That was just sort of what I kind of got out of it. But yeah, you could also like both. I think are perfectly valid. Like you could say that she somehow the egg thing. I'm a little less on because she found the egg. Like she went to go pick the eggs up, and the egg was broken on the ground like that. But
Well,
then
wasn't it? I thought she had gotten it and dropped it, and it had like when she dropped it, it had the embryo inside it.
oh, I don't.
I'm pretty sure because there's a lot of weird blood things with her. It just makes me feel like she was. I don't know if she was full on into wanting to be a witch or at that point, but it just seems odd that those things were happening around her and no one else.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I didn't. I might have looked away for a moment when we were watching it. So yeah, that's perfect. Now I'm
Yeah, it's
curious. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it because I don't remember.
yeah, it's like she was marked, kind of like you're gonna be the one we're gonna take.
Yeah, it could in that sense. It could have been like their thing to go there was all
I
like
just had a revelation.
yeah, yeah,
So, you know, when the parents are discussing about selling her into work,
yeah.
they mentioned that she just had her womanness of age occur,
Oh no.
which indicates that she's able to like service people, like not service people in that manner, but serve.
Oh no.
Like she's no longer a child; she's an adult.
She's a woman.
She's fully woman. So I bet you that that has everything to do with the fact that now she's recognized as a full woman, that she can become a witch. You know, because the protection of uh, Christianity is no longer is afforded to her for being like innocent, like the children are.
All and that would play in with the rest of the film because that's something that's
Yes,
already talked about with the death of the baby and the death of his
yes.
son. Because
It
that
just hit me because I was thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, they just had that whole conversation about her.
yeah, that okay, that actually makes a ton of sense. That's actually very interesting. That is going to affect what movie I recommend at
Yeah,
the
and
end.
then that also plays into the fact that all that stuff is blood based. That she's
Yes,
having, yeah.
I can't believe. Oh,
So
oh,
that's cool.
yeah, that is pretty cool. I hadn't even thought about that. Wow, yeah, that actually makes the whole thing make. I don't want to say make more sense, but that really it ties the room together.
It
Uh,
does, and it just kind of hit out of nowhere. I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm looking at pictures right now. I'm like, hold on, that must be what they were trying to do.
because yeah, that just fits so perfectly. Yeah, especially like I can't believe I didn't think of that in the context of like because they spend so much time discussing the salvation of the baby.
Right? Yeah.
And I just didn't. That's awesome. I love that.
So
Um,
that's cool.
trying to think if there's anything else that would hit me with that before we move on to the other thing which I was going to talk about is what did you think about how the movie looked? Like,
Oh, I mean, it fit the time that they were the era that they were trying to hit very well. You're better at the like visual aesthetic aspect. You know more about that than I do. I'm just kind of I'm a layman in that regards.
just because you don't know all the terms doesn't mean your opinion isn't valid.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I just like I mean I liked it. I feel like for the era that they were trying to show and like the horror aesthetic fit.
yeah, it fit really well, and I felt they did a really good job of whoever was the prop master did a really good job of like building the sets and everything. Because a lot of times with historical movies, I really try to look for things that are out of place for that time period, and I'm sure there are some in this movie, but none of them hit me in the face. Like off topic, I just watched "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" and there's a couple of things like right away that just don't match up with the time period, and it's not horrible, like and most people wouldn't spot them, but yeah, there's very much of a attention to detail, which is awesome, and which I really appreciated. And then the color grading, lots of focusing on grays and stuff, and I bet if I watched this on a better screen that there was probably a highlight on the blood that was there. Well, maybe not actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, because the blood that was on Tomlinson at the end of the film was pretty dark. Anyway, lots of grays. The colorization was good. But yeah, there's a lot of there's two or three scenes individually that I felt were framed really well, like that one where Tomlinson and the brother, and then the two twins are fighting, and it's got the lines in it. I'm forgetting the technical term now, but it has the river flowing towards the characters, and the river begins
Oh yeah, yeah.
in the front and goes to the back. It was just I felt like that was such a good shot. And then the other ones were just shots that were really like paintings. There were two or three scenes that were I would call painting scenes, like just beautiful scenes that I would hang on a wall. And one of them was right after Tomlinson had killed her mother, and she started to
Mm.
go into the cabin, and she laid on the table. The lighting from the window was just, or the door being opened was just awesome in that one room. That was like superb. It's a superb scene. I love that so much. Um,
Can
yeah,
I add one thing to that scene?
yeah, go right ahead.
The I think it's interesting that she before that she kills her mother who's attacking her and she kills her in self defense. And gets her blood on her. And then it's daytime or morning when she does that. And then she goes into that room and lays her head down until night. And it's kind of like the day and night cycle is showing that she goes from like, oh, I'm gonna be following the right path or the light and going on this holy path. And then she goes on to the night where she wakes up and enters the dark and then makes the deal with the goat. And it's in the nighttime, so she's like choosing the dark path.
True. Like, yeah, she could have, if she was, if she wasn't going to do that, she could have just, I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know what you do in that sense. I don't know what you do if your entire family was just killed, but you could do something different than what she did.
I mean,
uh,
true.
you could go run away to the fort thing. You could do anything. Um,
She's like, nah, I'm gonna go talk to the goat.
you could talk to Satan Man. Speaking of the goat, Mr. Philip the Black or whatever his name was.
Black
Um,
Phillip
dude, the scene where they have Philip transform is
is
awesome.
fantastic. Yes.
Like, oh my word. I think we went over that like two or three times after we watched it. And like especially the scene where he still has one human foot in the transition and then a goat foot is just awesome. The way they filmed that as like the camera spins is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And
And then he's behind her, making the deal, whispering. His voice is even cool. It's like that
yes.
sultry, seductive. It's a devil character, so it's to be expected. But
Yeah, I was what do you call it? I almost think because that almost looks like the director, the director David Edgar's. I almost think that's him playing that character. I can't confirm that or anything. I had to go look it up, but it kind of looked like that, or it's someone who looked very much like him.
and it does look like him.
So yeah, I would have to go do that. I have to look that up, but Um, yeah, is there anything else you want to add, like before we get onto the actual like reviewing part of the film? Like anything that hits you?
Mm,
I think I've really said everything.
yeah, I think I said most of the things that I found intriguing. I hated the twins. I liked the scene where the boy was dying. That was pretty cool.
Oh my god, that was an awesome scene. Yeah, where actually, did you bring that up during your whole set of the witch attacks? Is that when the twins get attacked? I don't think you said this. When the twin,
No, I didn't really get into the twins.
yeah, when the twins get attacked by the witch in the spiritual way or whatever, the thing that hits them is the fact that they just don't talk.
Yeah,
Uh,
they couldn't. Well, they couldn't pray
yes,
because they were still singing their little like goat throughout the movie. They're singing this little like random praise of the goat for some hot reason. It's really annoying, but I think it's done purposely to be annoying because they're just gallivanting on about black goat, or I forget however they refer to him,
yeah,
goat the black, or
it's something. It was they were singing about him, and which is interesting because where did they learn how to sing that song? The little ditty,
right. It's
and
so creepy.
because they sure didn't learn that song from their parents.
Right.
Um, so that whole thing is really awesome. Because it's like, yeah, they're still just kids. They wouldn't have learned how to sing such a like detailed song with so many different words. Um, yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. I loved, yeah, like you had said, the scene where the boy dies is awesome. Try to have some screenshots of that scene in the review. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just that's the point where the family is just turned against each other completely.
yes, it like the family structure just completely breaks down. The
Yeah.
scene that really gets me is obviously the one where the father and Tomlinson are fighting, and he just calls her a bitch. I don't know why, but I just started laughing,
Yeah.
and I'm
It's kind of out of place.
and
You know what though? Maybe that's an ode to the title
oh, kind of. I could see that.
because it's maybe he's not actually saying that. It just subtitled it and it's the Vitch.
I think pretty sure he said bitch, but that is funny. Like it's so similar though to it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I like that. I thought that was super funny. Um, does this film recommend remind you of any other films? Like, does it tie in well with recommending another film?
Uh I mean, yeah, there are similarities to it to other films. One off the top of my head, I would maybe The Ritual. It's kind of different, but it's still got the or no, maybe not The Ritual. What's the I can't think of it. It's got the little kid Hereditary.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, so that's one that I need to see. Because yeah, I have not seen that. So Hereditary is your pick.
Yeah, it's got
Um,
Hereditary vibes.
I really want to hold on. Talk about something for a minute because I'm trying to find this title of this one film that, since you mentioned the blood thing, I have to recommend this one film because its whole premise is about that, and I feel like they kind of vibe together, and I just having a hard time finding it and looking through my review list. And like it completely hit me out of nowhere because it's been a hot second since I've seen this particular movie. Oh my word!
Yeah, and I also enjoyed when they did the scenes where the dad is like excoriating the church because he's like so proud, like full of himself, saying that I can't be judged by any man, that I'm doing God's work, and it's like a council of other religious people that are telling him, no, you gotta like abide by our customs, and he has this innate pride, which you can kind of see is his downfall. So there's a scene where he's praying and he actually starts eating dirt.
Oh, dude, I
I'm like, what are you doing?
dude, I that scene where he's praying is awesome acting. Like that is so good.
It's very good acting.
Oh my word, I forgot about that. And yeah, like the whole beginning part too. It's the acting in this film is pretty
Yeah.
nice. Um,
Excuse
so the movie that I was trying to remember the title of is called Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. It's a
me.
it's a Chechen film, or Chechen. It's from the Czech Republic, I believe. I could be wrong about that. And it has to do with a girl who goes back to her hometown, I believe, in the same week that her full womanhood is awakened, and she finds that the priest in her hometown is now a vampire. Is very weird movie, and I would
Convenient.
highly recommend it with the tie-in. Um, very very interesting.
He's about to get something tasty.
Oh no. Oh no. Um so we've reached that time again. Tall fellow, what would you give the movie?
Is it out of 5 or is it out of 100?
Out of 5.
Yes. It gets a solid 4.
Solid 4. Okay.
Solid 4.
I'm going to give it the exact same score. I'm going to give it a solid 4, and if I'm gonna transfer that into a numeric score, it would be like something like a 79 out of 100. It's
Like it.
it's super close to 4.5. I just couldn't get myself to give it 4.5, but it was really close. Um, yeah, definitely the next film we reviewed will not be an A24 film. There's 2 in a row. Um,
A24 is our jam.
dude, A24 is, as much as we critique them for Lamb in the previous review, a lot of their stuff is way above par.
The
For
Lamb was terrible.
So, do you have any closing recommendations or anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
Oh, I'm excited to see The Northman now.
Dude, oh my god, yeah. Oh, actually, we should totally review The Lighthouse. The light.
True.
Spoiler for upcoming review: Lighthouse is a 5 out of 5. Lighthouse is superb, and we will get to that.
I've
But
not seen it.
yeah, thank you. So yeah, any recommendations for future movie reviews down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Love you, love you. Yee yee yee.
Bye.